I am Judy Tyabji. Thank you very much for joining us today, New Year's Eve, and it's a time when all of us reflect on what the year has been like to this point. We have with us today Mike Smith. He's going to help me present to you my top 20 list, actually, of the most influential people in BC. And how does he manage to keep getting on the show? That's what I want to know. But anyway, so he's going to also give us his top 10 list. And I put together a year in review, and just a warning, it will not have any international celebrities on it, and it doesn't mention crime. It's just sort of a series of events from 1997. Let's see if you remember these, and here's a little bit of a background on the year in review. 1997 was a fascinating year. It began with a record snowfall in the Lower Mainland and Island, and it ends with an El Nino and record warm weather. Nationally, we opened the year with an out-of-court settlement in the millions of dollars to Brian Mulroney. During 1997, we saw story after story of children harmed while in the care of the government, from baby Molly to baby Jay, and the minister responsible, Penny Priddy, continues to react to charges of mismanagement and incompetence. We lived through another federal election, and BC sent back a majority of Reform MPs. Many BCers were angry about lighthouse closures, transfer payment cuts, and other policies driven by Central Canada. There were also many developments in Aboriginal politics, including controversy over the Nisga'a Agreement in Principle from a citizens group, controversy over the Gustafson Lake court cases in Vancouver, and in December, a landmark decision from the Supreme Court on the Gitsan ruling. There were big political problems for a provincial government, beginning with claims that the budget was a fake. These grew with the lawsuit against the government by Help BC. Then there were problems in the healthcare sector with acute care and surgical waiting lists. And in the fall, Glenn Clark was haunted by 2 recall campaigns in the north, which, if successful, would remove the government of its majority in the legislature. And then, of course, there were the ferry protests over rate hikes. But the Liberal opposition had its share of scandals, including a controversial mail-out, a reversal of its position on taxpayer-funded pensions, and a dancing penis toy presentation in the legislature. The Reform Party of BC disappeared from the legislature altogether with the movement of one of their MLAs to the Liberals and the other to sit as an independent. And PDA leader Gordon Wilson continued to lead the polls as BC's most popular leader, although his party sits at only 9%. Meanwhile, the national unity debate heated up, with BC playing a constructive role in trying to amend the tax system. And Vancouver hosted the Asia-Pacific Economic Conference, which coincided with the collapse of many Asian economies. And it became a public relations disaster when the police followed instructions to pepper spray and jail students who were demonstrating against some of the dictators attending the conference. And on the environmental front, there was a lot of hot air at the Kyoto Conference on Global Warming, and maybe even some hope for action. Meanwhile, in some areas, children are coming forward to take responsibility for the environment in their neighborhoods. And we have to mention the incredible stories from outer space. First, the Hubble Space Telescope continued to send back pictures and advanced to infrared technology. Then we were captivated by the Hale-Bopp comet and associated stories of cult followers. There was an eclipse of the moon, and the amazing and perplexing saga of the Russian space station Mir, which faced systems breakdowns, angry denouncements from the Russian government, and the first fender bender in outer space. But who can forget the biggest astronomy story of the year? We managed to make it to Mars. The little Pathfinder sent back fascinating pictures, and it's our first step. And we want to hear from you. Who do you think were the most influential people in British Columbia over the last year? Or I suppose you could tell us who you think are influential in BC from somewhere else. We'll be back with your calls and Mike Smith, and you can call to this number.
Song is a celebration of love.
When I need you.
Now get Touched by Love, a new 36-song collection of the most popular soft rock hits.
Darling, if you want me to be closer to you, get closer to me. I love you. I
Feel the magic of love in every song.
Sometimes when we touch, the honesty's too much. And I would give anything I own. Give up my life, my heart, my home. You are so beautiful.
Touched by Love brings you 36 of the most romantic songs of our time.
Turn the other way, baby. I love you to want me the way that I want you. But there's a warm wind blowing, the stars around, and I'd really love to see you tonight. Even the nights are better.
Touched by Love is not sold in stores, so order now.
And I will love you so for always. Just you.
Call this toll-free number now for Touched by Love. 2 cassettes $19.98, 2 CDs $26.98, plus $4.95 shipping. Call now.
If you were making a list of the top influential people in BC, would this man be on the list? Probably. I think he's going to make it on most people's list of the most influential people. Whoops, but today we have a list of the top 20 by category, no particular order, and Mike Smith joins us again. Many of you will remember him from last week. He is a province columnist, also known to many people as the Don Cherry voice on the radio. I had to say that, Mike.
I had to get that.
Yeah, I did. I had to get
Yeah.
it in there because people don't have a clue about how silly you can be.
I do get carried away sometimes.
And that's all right.
Yeah.
Now, you have your top 10 list. I have a top 20 list. And what we want to do is we'll throw out to you what we think happened. And you can then call us and tell us who we missed or who you think shouldn't have been on the list. That's what we're going to do, isn't it?
Sounds good.
That sounds great.
Sounds good.
Okay, so now I'll let you know that this is not in any particular order. I wasn't going to be quite that mischievous. But just to be provocative, we thought that we would do this. And these are the top 20 most influential people in British Columbia over the last year by category on Aboriginal issues. Herb George of the Gitxsan people just won a landmark case regarding Aboriginal title. This case will impact every British Columbian and has huge implications for the treaty process. On business issues, Jim Pattison for his continued success with overweighting, but more importantly for his powerful position in BC's fishing industry. For work with government, David Emerson of the Vancouver International Airport for a phenomenal turnaround of the airport's image and a successful launch and expansion, which has a positive impact on BC's image in the world. For work with children, like it or not, Penny Priddy, the minister responsible for children and families, is clearly the most influential person in this area, and notwithstanding some health concerns, she's managed to hold a public relations fort despite sustained and heavy fire over ongoing problems with children in care and understaffing of her portfolio. For national politics, Wendy Grant of the Musqueam people for a credible bid for the most powerful political position in the Aboriginal community in Canada, Grand Chief of the First Nations, and for coming a close second. And for the media, John Cruikshank of the Vancouver Sun for beginning the turnaround of the Sun and for attempting to print regional, ethnic, and diverse perspectives in the paper, and for elevating some of the debate in the opinion section. For regional issues, of course, Premier Glenn Clark for increasing awareness of the difficulties of BC's position with the United States in developing a workable salmon treaty and taking on the federal government. And for pushing a social agenda, Carrie Simpson of the Citizens Research Institute. Love her or hate her, she can draw 800 people into halls all over the province to discuss the provincial government's new laws and definitions of marriage. And for labor law and business interests, Sunamitra Sanatini with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business and the Coalition of BC Businesses for her strong voice on behalf of small businesses, opposing increased fees, and for her role in shutting down the government's proposed sectoral bargaining plans in Bill 44. For representation in the Senate, of course, Pat Carney wins this one for voicing Western alienation sentiments and capturing the attention of the Eastern media to profile some of the concerns of people in BC. And for humanitarian accomplishments, Keith Martin, the Reform MP for Esquimalt. Martin's success in working for an international treaty on landmines shows a refreshing commitment to his principles as he acts on experiences as a medical doctor. For alternative health care, Raymond Chan, Liberal MP for Richmond, Parliamentary Secretary for the Pacific Rim. He is credited with stalling the federal government's plans to sign on to the draconian Codex Alimentarius, which would have put serious restrictions on vitamins, herbs, and health supplements. For national issues, he had to be on this list. Gordon Wilson, MLA and PDA leader, for his work in profiling the multilateral agreement on investment in the spring sitting of the legislature, and for his work in coordinating the unity papers with Gordon Gibson and John Munro. For commentary, it was tempting to put Doug Collins here, but the most influential person was Rafe Mayer. The popular CKNW radio host continues to rule the radio waves with his bombastic and hard-hitting critiques of politics and his interviews of political representatives. And for the environment, Sapporo Berman of Greenpeace. Although Greenpeace faced serious antagonism this year as the forest sector slumped economically, we have to recognize the environmental leadership of Berman, who followed up on her work on Clayoquot Sound in 1993. For the music and entertainment industry, Sarah McLachlan and her Lilith Fair. Sarah McLachlan is a powerhouse whose influence stretches well beyond the boundaries of BC. She's made American lists for the top 100 most influential people in the United States. For workers' rights, the Judge Gurmant Gill, chair of the Royal Commission on Workers' Compensation. He has managed to bring together injured workers and stakeholders in this extremely contentious arena and has put out his first report in near record time, and so far his recommendations for more accountability have been well received, which is almost a miracle. For work in the forest sector, Peter Bentley of Canfor. Although it's been a tough year in the forest sector and times may become even worse, in early 1998, Peter Bentley continues to be a heavy hitter, becoming involved in government announcements while pushing for more value-added production of wood products. And for civil rights, Craig Jones, the UBC law student, who has launched a lawsuit which names the Prime Minister's office after he was imprisoned during the APEC summit for holding up a protest sign. This shows initiative and may hold the federal government accountable for some serious civil rights infringements during APEC. And, of course, for the greatest influence in healthcare delivery, Joy McPhail, the Provincial Minister of Health, who's overruled many of her predecessors' reforms and is trying to rework community-based health while reviewing the state of private care facilities. And I'm out of breath. So, that was my list. I thought those were the top 20.
Very interesting list.
Well, it's sort of one of those things. You think, okay, who? And some of those people, I don't agree with what they were saying, and there's certainly a lot of controversial people on that list.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of British Columbians have been pretty active over the last year.
Well, they have, and it's been an extraordinary year in BC, particularly in politics, which is kind of my forte. It was a wild year, and for that reason, I put Premier Glenn Clark at the top of my list. Now, I prioritized my list, Judy.
Yes.
And
that's
so
allowed.
I put Clark at number one because this guy is essentially a one-man band with the government. It's more or less his way or the highway in a lot of issues facing the BC government. This is a very different, a bit of a departure from Mike Harcourt, who was more of a
committee guy.
Yeah, he was more of a consensus builder. Clark has a very small coterie of people around him.
In fact, you probably could have made a list, okay, the first 5 top most influential people. Glenn Clark is Premier, Glenn Clark is Minister of Finance, Glenn Clark is Minister of Unity.
Or you could even include the people that surround Clark specifically, such as the more powerful ministers in his cabinet, including Joy McPhail, who was on your list, right. Dan Miller, the Deputy Premier, and his senior bureaucrats, such as Tom Gunton,
right.
And Adrian Dix as Chief of Staff, and Doug MacArthur.
So number 1 was Clark.
Yes, number 1 was Clark. Now number 2, I wasn't on your list. I selected David Radler, who is with Conrad. He's essentially Conrad Black's right-hand man, essentially the owner of the Vancouver Sun in the Vancouver province, and so his office is in Vancouver.
As somebody who's, does he help influence like the editorial direction of some of these papers?
Well, some people think so. I certainly don't subscribe to that. I've personally never met him,
right?
So he doesn't influence what I write, for example, but as a man who has such control over the 2 largest newspapers in Vancouver, I think he's extremely influential behind the scenes, although he doesn't make the newspapers a lot.
Okay.
Number 3, Jimmy Pattison.
Yeah.
Whom we
sort of the godfather of BC business.
Yes, indeed, and anytime you pour cream in your coffee, it's down to one of Jimmy Pattison's businesses, and he owns so many businesses that own other businesses, right. That his influence in BC, the BC economy, is pretty much, you can't really understate it. Number 4, another guy who's not on your list, Ken Giorgetti.
Yeah, I didn't put him on the list because I thought in the last couple of years he hasn't been quite as influential as in the past.
Well,
for example, the business sector won out on sectoral bargaining.
Yes, they did, but now they're going through a process where they will likely bring in this labor legislation again. There's a lot of business fear that it will mirror somehow the legislation of the past, or they'll try to sneak in some of the pro-labor reforms that Giorgetti wants. Don't underestimate his influence on the provincial government. He's like another member of cabinet, yeah, that's essentially.
But how influential are they? No, never mind.
Well,
okay, go
very,
ahead.
I think. But John McCaw,
right,
who was the owner of the Vancouver Grizzlies and the Vancouver
Canucks.
That's
a sports thing. That's your Don Cherry guy.
Yes, but sports is a big part of our culture,
Okay.
even if you're not a sports fan. And for things like bringing Mark Messier to the Vancouver Canucks and some of the big money deals he's done with the Vancouver Grizzlies, I put him on the list. I selected David Anderson as the senior federal cabinet minister in BC, a guy who's close to Chrétien and
Clearly
wields
a lot of influence on the federal level, yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. John Lacey, the president of WIC, which owns this TV station and several other major media outlets
He
in
didn't,
BC.
nobody forced you to put his name on the list.
Of course not.
That's
Of course
a little
not.
joke.
But
It's a little joke.
you know, the
Yeah.
popular media, of course, as we all know, is so influential in developing the way people think and,
Right.
and influencing the course of public events.
Of course,
So
WIC includes BCTV and Czech, so that's two,
that's right.
and NW.
And CKNW, of course. Pat Carney, she was...
Hey, wait a minute, you put a woman on that list.
I did.
Last time I checked, it was 10 guys.
Well, yeah, I did have 10 white guys on the list there, and I put Pat Carney,
Mike's 10 white guys.
10 middle-aged white guys.
That's right.
But I did put Pat Carney on there because I believe that she really did define the debate over national unity here in British Columbia and the growing sense of alienation we have here in BC, which
Right.
could be a big story in 1998.
Okay.
Tom Stevens, who's the CEO of Macmillan Bloedel,
Right.
big forest company, and Rafe Mair, who has shown that by his forceful opinion on a lot of subjects, he can change the course of public opinion and the way the government reacts. For example, the Commando Completion Project, which he single-handedly pretty
Yeah.
much derailed.
Right, in 95.
Yes, but his influence still continues.
I think that's true. Well, he's on my list too. Okay, we're going to the phones now, and we want to hear from you. Who do you think in your circle, because you got to remember, Mike's circle is political. I think that's reflected by the
Yes,
list
it
too.
is.
I didn't even make your list. I'm very upset. But you didn't
I've
make
got you on
mine,
the,
so
I've got
it's
you on the
fair.
also ran. I've got several pages of also rans here.
Anyway,
Judy's on
so
there.
so we'll go to the phones now, and we'll start with Karen in Nanaimo. Hi, Karen.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to add 4 names.
Okay.
One is John Cummings and Dennis Brown of the Fishermen
Okay.
for their tiring efforts with the American Fish Treaty.
Right.
And the other is Birgit Lund
Yes.
and Karen Aiken
That's a fair.
for their untiring efforts on behalf of the injured workers of British Columbia to bring about the Royal Commission.
Oh, I think those are very good additions. Thank you for that.
Well, thank you, and good luck in the next year.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right, because it is New Year's Eve.
Yes, indeed.
Now, Birgit Lund, actually, a lot of people credit her with having brought about the Royal Commission that's underway right now, and that's I think, a very good comment.
Yeah, again, a process that maybe a lot of people don't fully comprehend or understand its significance right now, but when the results of that process are eventually implemented, they could change the way a lot of workplaces operate and the way a lot of businesses operate.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk to Mark now on the Sunshine Coast. Hi, Mark.
Hi there.
Hi, go ahead.
I'd like to bring up the influence of the media in general and the
Yeah.
fact that that things are all the major papers, magazines, and radio stations, everything else, is all owned by very, very few people.
Yeah, that's especially in BC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that includes the wire services,
Right,
which there are, I'm sure you can name them, there's only a couple.
right.
And everything comes from that. I wonder who controls those wire services, and I wonder why the news that I see on my television and that I hear on the radio is all mainly a bunch of nonsense that, you know, of course some local issues are important, but I find that there's no real information being given to the people about just thousands and thousands of things going on in the world.
Okay, well, thank you. I think you've raised a very interesting point, especially now you came out of a wire service, of course, print wire service. But
Yeah,
a lot of people do have that perspective that there isn't the depth that they'd like from the media, or that it's all owned by the same people.
Well, of course, he's voicing a very common perception and some cynicism about the media in general. There's a lot of distrust, of course, about the larger mainstream media, and it is true there is a growing sort of concentration of ownership of the media. I would correct him on the wire service. The Canadian Press is a non-profit cooperative which is collectively owned by all the daily newspapers in Canada, and I worked for it for 8 years.
Now,
This
that's
is
a
why I
print
know
wire
this.
service. He might also have been talking about radio, like the radio wire service.
He may have been, but Again, I disagree with him too about his perception that that people are misinformed. I think that generally speaking, that the two major newspapers in Vancouver, the Victoria Times Colonist, this TV station, we have a brand new TV station in Vancouver, and I think they do an excellent job actually of keeping British Columbians informed of what's going on.
See, I disagree. I kind of agree with. I think that we get informed on certain things, but we don't get the depth. We don't get a lot of it because I don't think, and I don't. I think the reporters do the best job that they can, and the editors do the best job they can. But I think that the bottom line is driving so much of it that they don't get the resources that they would like to do what they want.
A lot of the times at the stories, many of the stories that you talked about on your setup piece, such as the budget scandal and the scandal over the deaths of children in care, for example, those are all issues that were uncovered by reporters at the legislature that we probably wouldn't have heard about.
Yeah, I think that's true.
If the media wasn't doing its job, so I disagree with the guy's comments.
Yeah, I also don't think he said he was misinformed. I think there was not enough information. And I hear that.
We live in the information age.
Happy New Year.
Well, let's see if they. Let's talk to Lloyd now in Saanich. Hi, Lloyd.
Hi, Happy New Year, Judy and Michael.
To you too.
I'm an excellent and well-considered list, and I think that it sort of highlights the person who perhaps should be honored or is most conspicuous by their absence, and that's the leader of the opposition, Mr. Campbell, and who had quite a year. Right. I think back to the mail-out that he did, and then cutting a deal with reform on the eve of the previous election, and it seemed his mantra for the year was, I didn't do it, I didn't know about it, and I'll never do it again.
Right.
So I think that he was a person who, by all rights, should be on the list, but the fact that he was on neither of your lists speaks volumes about where we are in BC politics and where Mr. Campbell is.
Okay, well, thank you for that perspective. I think that's probably true. I actually would have liked to have put an opposition member on the list, but I couldn't find anyone who'd affected. I mean, I shouldn't say it. There was one person from the opposition on my list. That's my husband.
I wonder who, Judy.
But and I would challenge anyone who disagrees that Gordon Wilson should not have been on my list to phone in and tell me that he wasn't one of the most influential people. I'd be happy to take that on.
I think he was a very effective member of the opposition. There were also members of the Liberal caucus that did a very effective job in their opposition roles this year. Cindy Hawkins, the health critic.
But you have to see where the circle is drawn. You're in the political arena, so you can see that. I think a lot of the viewers who aren't necessarily political would say that a lot of the Liberal opposition members didn't go beyond the political arena.
Well, opposition is kind of a thankless task in a lot of ways, and you know yourself how difficult it can be to go up against a government that has a majority hold in the legislature. On the other hand, now Gordon Campbell is interesting. I did have him on my list. I considered putting him in there because if you believe the polls right now, this guy is on the precipice of power right now.
And that's what the poll said leading into the 96 election.
That's true, and he blew that one.
And we're over time for a break, and so we have to take a break, and we want to hear from you. So if you disagree with us, hey, we're looking for a fight, right, Mike?
Sure.
Yeah, not really. We'll be right back.
Tyabji is brought to you in part by Metro Lexus Toyota, leaders in customer satisfaction.
Young people need challenges. As house mother of Phi Beta Theta, I insist that my boys tackle the kitchen, scrubbing every pan, even the impossible to clean ones.
Introducing the revolutionary power of new Cascade Gel. Now you can put things in the dishwasher you never thought you could. Because Cascade Gel breaks up many tough foods better, while the #2 national eating gel can leave this. Cascade Gel gets what they leave behind.
They make a mother proud.
New Cascade Gel, so clean it's virtually spotless.
Are you brushing twice a day? You could be ruining your hair. It's true. The simple act of brushing can strip away vital protein, even cause your hair to break. The solution? Pantene Pro V shampoo and conditioner to help keep your hair strong. Pantene's provitamins penetrate the root, while the conditioning formula helps improve the entire length of your hair to help keep it healthy looking, shiny and strong, so it breaks less. Pantene Pro V, for hair so healthy looking it shines. Don't forget to brush.
At Generous Chevrolet, you've got choices, choices, choices. Get an incredible 2.9% financing for up to 48 months on 1998 cars and trucks, or 0% financing for up to 48 months on all 97 and 98 full-size Chevy pickups, Astro, Venture, and Silhouette vans. You heard right, 0% financing. Plus, exclusive to Generous, all of our 1997s are just $97 over factory invoice. Hurry, sale ends soon.
Imagine lacing up for the big one, putting on your game jersey, and stepping out onto the ice at GM Place.
Now you can with Skate for Hope, a 12-hour team relay Sunday, February the 8th at GM Place.
Enjoy a great day of skating with loads of fun to raise funds for Giant Steps and the Canuck Foundation. Call to register or make a $25 donation and help needy kids across the Lower Mainland. So sharpen your skates and draft your team.
You never know who you might bump into on the ice at GM Place.
We're talking about the top influential people of BC in 1997. Our guest is Mike Smith of the Vancouver Province and also the person who filled in for me last week. I didn't thank you yet on the air for that. Thank you for doing it.
Oh, I had a blast.
Did you?
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, well, you know, like you did too good a job, you're not going to come back again.
Oh, no.
That's right. You're supposed to do a really rotten job.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, oh, good. Let's talk to Vicky in Victoria. Hi, Vicky.
Hi.
Hi.
I am also Saanich.
Okay. Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
You're from Saanich? Yeah, go ahead, please.
I'm in Saanich, yes. I don't think Glenn Clark has any right to be on there.
Okay. So you think he should not be on the list of the most...
I don't think he should be anywhere.
Okay. You don't like him?
I think he's done more harm for and to BC than any person in history. I don't think he has... He certainly, whoever he thinks he is, had no right to cancel our right that we had won for impeachment.
Oh, I see.
Because he certainly would have been impeached years ago.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that perspective. Obviously, there's going to be people who don't want anyone mentioned because they don't like them so much.
Well, obviously, we're not drawing up the list of the most popular people of the year. We're talking about the most influential. So there's a lot of people that don't like Glenn Clark, and that's been, especially recently, which has been reflected in his falling standing in the opinion polls.
Right.
But you can't deny that I believe he is the most influential figure in the province.
Yeah, he certainly, if you try to do based on the number of issues, he sort of has his finger in almost every pie. But I can understand that she's upset when he made comments that they may review the recall legislation.
Yeah, I believe that's what she was referring to about taking away the powers of impeachment, which a lot of people would like to exercise.
They wish they could recall him directly, maybe, I don't know. Okay, let's talk to Lauren in White Rock. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Judy. Hi, Michael. How are you?
Fine.
I think that somebody in another realm that should be recognized for his influence is Long John Baldry. If you look at the 17 years or so he's been in Vancouver, the growth of confidence of the musicians here has become astronomical.
Yeah.
To the point where down at the Yale on a Sunday night over the past summer, people like Jimmy Page, Joe Walsh, Jeff Healy have gotten up and played. And I think that musicians have discovered that they can be heard throughout the world from here, and people are actually coming here to be discovered instead of going to places like Seattle, Los Angeles.
Oh, great.
And I think that that's a major boost in confidence just because Long John Baldry has that professional patina about him that has come to virtually all the places around the city.
So he's been boosting confidence behind the scenes, or sort of in the music industry.
Well, people that he's had up on the stage with him go off knowing that they've been with one of the true greats of the world, and they've just got that level of confidence, and it is really coming about for everybody in the whole music industry around the city.
Well, thank you very much for that. I love hearing from people who are from a world I don't know much about that world, but Long John Baldry.
You don't hang out at the Yale pub in Vancouver?
No, I don't. I have no social life. I work in movies. That's it.
I wouldn't have selected him either, but maybe I should go down to the Yale pub next Saturday night and check out who drops in. I didn't know some of these people were jamming with him.
Sounds like fun.
That's kind of cool.
Jeff Healy, yeah. Okay. Let's talk to Corey in Victoria. Hi, Corey.
Hi, Judy. Enjoy your program very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to add a couple of names to your list.
Great.
First, Roy Henry Vickers.
Yes.
I think he's a very outstanding Canadian as well as British Columbian.
Lee McKenzie pointed that out to us actually during one of her breaks, that he should have been on the list.
And I really feel that the Vision Quest Recovery Society, which he has sought to establish, has a wonderful future and that we should all be supporting it.
Yeah.
The second person would be Inspector John Grant of the RCMP, who worked with Roy Henry Vickers in the Vision Quest journey and the establishment of this society.
Right.
And I'd really like to see our people all get behind it and help support it.
Well, thank you very much for calling in on that. Oh, sorry, Corey, but we have to go to break in a sec, but I think you're absolutely right. Roy Henry Vickers has done a great job in 97. And I think he will also be recognized in 98 for some of the work he did in 97.
Well, that Vision Quest tour obviously touched a lot of people, and it brought home in a very easily understandable way the struggles of Aboriginal people in BC, and especially the relationships with the police and law enforcement.
Yeah, the fact the RCMP were so involved was great.
Yeah. Yeah, and Aboriginal issues are going to be an enormous issue in the new year as well, as you mentioned in your top 20 list, with looming land claims that have remained unsettled, and the new dimension of the recent Supreme Court decision.
Yeah, okay. Well, we have to take a break. We'll be back. We'll be taking more of your calls, and you can let us know. There's some excellent calls coming in on who should be listed as the most influential in BC. We'll be right back.
This man just got something he's always wanted, a new deck. And here's how he got it. Because with Time Life's decks, porches, and patios, he found out how to get professional results at do-it-yourself prices, just by following the easy at-a-glance instructions.
Now get 2 books for $2 with Time Life's Home Repair and Improvement. Order decks, porches, and patios for just $1.99 and get kitchens free.
This couple just got something new for their kitchen, custom countertops. Because with Time Life's Kitchens volume, they knew exactly how to measure and cut for a beautiful fit. And they got it free.
You can too. Use your credit card to order decks for just $1.99 and get kitchens free.
Listen to the sounds of savings, because every time you open a home repair book, you'll find dozens and dozens of ways to add comfort and value to your home. It could be new kitchen cabinets, a hidden recycling bin, a new ceiling fan, tile backsplash, even a screened-in porch. Time Life's Home Repair sets the standard for step-by-step do-it-yourself help. So whether you're refinishing an old floor or installing a new one, patching concrete or creating a brick walkway, replacing fixtures or an entire bath, you'll get complete step-by-step do-it-yourself help for results you'll be proud of.
So why not get started today? Have your credit card ready and call now to order decks for just $1.99 and get kitchens absolutely free. That's 2 books for $2.
These folks are getting a new brick patio. What are you going to get? Call now.
Call 1-800-328-0550 to get 2 books for $2. Use your credit card to order decks for just $1.99 and you'll get kitchens free. That's 1-800-328-0550 or send check or money order to Home Repair, Department 28, Richmond, Virginia. Or call 1-800-328-0550.
And we're talking about the most influential people in BC. Who do you think should be on the list, or what do you think of the list that we've provided? And we're going to start by talking to Jack in News Bay. Hi, Jack.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Just fine, and you?
Fine, thanks. Looking forward to New Year's Eve?
Yes, in a very quiet way.
Right.
I just wanted to say that listening to both of the lists, there's one very important name that has been missed off, and that's Judy Tyabji.
Oh.
I'm not saying it because I'm sitting there looking at you particularly, because I try and do it every day.
Right.
But I think that many of the points that you bring across and your insight into what goes on in BC is very, very important to all of us.
Well, I appreciate that. We do try hard. So thank you very much for that call. I didn't ask him to phone.
That wasn't your dad, was
No, it wasn't my dad. My dad does not even get to see my show. Isn't that sad? My family all live in the interior. They don't get to see it.
Well, you've done a good job on the show, Judy. No one can deny that. And I've written in a couple of columns about how the fact that you've struggled back from pretty enormous odds, actually, from the experience you had as an MLA.
With
a
the
lot
media,
of other,
you mean? What the media?
Yeah, I mean, you had a pretty rough ride, and you've come back very well. So
I appreciate
you are due some congratulations for the show.
Well, I think what I need to say, though, is that the viewers and the people who send us the ideas and the guests and the callers, I mean, the callers every day make the show. So I need to thank everybody listening because they help make sure that the show is worth watching. And that's enough of a love fest, right? Okay. Let's talk to Ken now in Vancouver. Hi, Ken.
Well, I'm going to have to go away from politics a little bit here.
Sure.
But there's no doubt in British Columbia, and the most well-known name in British Columbia is our own Larry Walker. He's known all over the United States now as arguably the best ball player in baseball. And
I was just about to say, who is Larry Walker?
Pardon?
Who is he?
Larry Walker. You see, you don't even know, and the press in British Columbia hasn't even covered it.
No, but I don't follow sports.
Well, this is sports.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying that he is the best known British Columbian. But as far as the other, your husband should be on there because Gordon Wilson. I'll mention his name because he's the most intelligent member of the legislature, and I don't know why he doesn't run around, get out of there and quit. It's all nonsense. And Gordon
Campbell,
Campbell Gordon Campbell should be on there for one statement that he made this year, and I'm probably the one of the most well-posted followers of politics in this province, when he said that politicians should have nothing to do with constitutional reform in this country. And he's absolutely right. They should not have a thing to do with it. Documents should be put together by the people.
Okay, well, thank you very much for all of those comments. Some interesting stuff there. Larry
Walker.
Walker.
Right.
Baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, good. He said ball player. I'm thinking, okay, basketball. So he's a really big baseball player.
Yeah, but of course, baseball has never been a huge sport here in BC. We don't have
a lot of people like
a
to
team.
Watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, but Mark Messier, I think, is probably the most larger-than-life sports figure we have here in British
Neither of us
Columbia.
put sports people. You're the Don Cherry guy. You should have had a sports guy.
Well, this is why I mentioned John McCaw, who owns the Canucks and was integral in bringing Mark Messier to Vancouver. But a very compelling story that everyone paid attention to in 1997.
Okay. Now, I don't have your name or where you're from, but okay, it's Gordon, Vancouver.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, I'm just psychic. So you got Gordon, Vancouver.
Hi.
Hi.
The chap ahead of me got to Gordon Wilson for staywardness in politics because he, like the gentleman said, he put up with a lot of crap from a lot of people. He stuck in there. The media threw millions of pies in his face, and I think he's a pretty good guy. If we had more politicians like him, I think the province would be a lot better. I don't know why Mr. Clark made it, but your gentleman friend said it's not just popular, it's unpopular, and we've got probably the most unpopular government that BC's ever had. Putting him on a pedestal, I just can't see. He's screwed not only a lot of people, he's also screwed, and his government, some of his own people. And when you get a politician that isn't supported by unions and that, they put him in there, and then he turns around and throws it in their faces.
Right.
It shows that he's not a professional, and the best I can put him on is the guy that got all the rats together on the Titanic. We all know the outcome of the Titanic, but
okay, I'm sorry, I do have to cut you off there because we have taken another call before the break, but a lot of different points there.
Well, very quickly on Gordon Wilson, he didn't have a lot of success as leader of the Liberal Party, obviously, and sort of the fate that befell him.
Actually, you could say he had a lot of success because he took them to opposition.
Yes,
I have to be careful.
he
I'm in
did.
a conflict arguing with you, although I have all kinds of opinions.
Yes, you are, and I'm aware of that. But we can't shy away from talking about the guy because the most recent Angus Reid poll confirmed again that he is the most popular and trusted politician in British Columbia, despite the fact that he is leading a fringe party which commands only about 9% support in the opinion polls.
And the only thing I'd say about that is the Liberals were at 6% going into the 91 elections.
Yeah, the last thing I just want to say about Wilson is he is an extremely shrewd politician in getting key issues before the public, such for example the agreement, the multilateral agreement, the MAI agreement, which he won national recognition for. And most recently, he blew the whistle on the Skeena Cellulose environmental record of that pulp mill. So he's been an extremely effective politician operating from shoestring resources, really.
Okay, now I have to be careful because I can't talk too much about this kind of issue, which is kind of frustrating. But anyway, we're going to take a quick break. And hey, if you want to talk about sports people, just before we go to the break, on Friday, we're going to bring you an astrologer and a psychic, and the psychic does handwriting analyses. So if you would like to have your handwriting analyzed, you need to write out your name and a simple short sentence and fax it to Tyabji at 250-389-1226, and we will try to get him to look through them. And it's for fun, because Friday is actually my birthday and my husband's birthday, and it's one of those kind of astrology type things. Anyway, we'll be right back after a break. So yeah, go from
Bring in the pace car!
Oh, the parking guy's waving us in. Thank you.
Meet the Toyota Sienna minivan.
With its 194 horsepower V6 and smooth car-like ride,
Sure is a long way to park.
it handles like no minivan you've ever driven.
Ah, this must be it.
Toyota Sienna, the freedom of quality.
When should you plant geranium cuttings? What's the only time of year to safely move peonies? How long can live Christmas trees remain indoors? Get answers to these and other questions by ordering the Get Up and Grow Gardening Guide and Calendar for 1998. Gord Nickel, host of the Get Up and Grow TV show, has compiled over 360 useful tips to help novices and green thumbs alike succeed in the garden. All of this timely information has been combined with rich botanical illustrations to give you an invaluable resource.
Hi, I'm Gord Nickel, host of Get Up and Grow, seen every Saturday morning on Check TV. Order the Get Up and Grow Gardening Guide and Calendar now, and you'll receive a Forget-Me-Not seed package at no extra cost.
To order your gardening guide and calendar, send $12.99 plus $2 shipping and handling to the address on your screen, or call 1-888-456-5577 and have your credit card handy. The guide is also available at Canner Nursery in Victoria, Abbotsford, and Chilliwack. Call now and get growing in 1998.
Let your Victoria Symphony bring drama, excitement, and romance to your life.
Experience classic grandeur with conductor Rafi Armenian and violin soloist Moishe Hammer performing Mozart's Violin Concerto No. 5 at the Royal Theatre, Sunday, January 11th and Monday, January 12th. Call 386-6121 for your tickets.
Your Victoria Symphony, you'll love to hear us play.
We're talking about the year in review and the top 20 people, and we're going back to the phones to find out from you what you think, and we're going to start with Audrey in Saanich. Hi, Audrey. Audrey?
Yes, hello.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I agreed with the gentleman who said your program has been most influential on Vancouver Island and in the area. And also, you could be the next Oprah Winfrey. And another thing is you have been one of the first ladies to be able to take your baby and give it the care it needs to carry on your job most efficiently. And I think that's a forward step for women and mothers everywhere. And I thank you for it.
Well, thank you very much. It's very nice of you to phone in and say that. That was, she's 5 now. That baby. She'll be 6 in the spring. She's talking about when I was in MLA.
Right.
You remember that?
Oh, I remember it extremely well.
Yeah, that's right. Lugging a baby around the halls.
Yeah.
What a change, yeah.
And you know Oprah personally.
Actually, I do.
Yeah.
That's true. And, who knows? Maybe when she's ready to retire, I'll give her a call. Hey Oprah, hey, as long as you broadcast out of Victoria, what do you think? Okay, let's talk to Al now in Delta. Hi, Al.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead.
Hi, how you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Yeah, I'm calling regarding Mubina Jaffer. Just want to congratulate her for running a good campaign.
Yes.
And we're very proud of her.
Yes.
And that's basically what I called for.
Well, thank you very much. I think Mubina Jaffer has been one of the most influential people in British Columbia for a long time. In fact, being on all the national committees, a very strong federal Liberal. In fact, it's always been a mystery that she's never managed to be elected, but she's been very influential nonetheless. Mm. Yeah. Do you know Mubina Jaffer?
Yes.
Okay. You're nodding, and I'm thinking, now, is he just bluffing? Mubina Jaffer, for those who are outside of the Vancouver area, is a very prominent lawyer. She's been a strong activist for civil rights and especially for the rights of women for decades, and a very credible person. Let's talk now to Sylvia in Victoria. Hi, Sylvia.
Well, hi there. I would like to say that the media, and that includes television, radio, newspapers, are right up at the top of the list for me as far as being of important influence on the people of British Columbia.
Right.
And I had your name on my list.
Oh, that's nice.
I had the name of Diane Francis for her coverage of financial matters.
Right.
And in other areas, I had Justice Wally Opal for his words of wisdom time and again.
Right.
And Robert Bateman in the field of art for his appreciation of the beauty of our province and his conservation ideas.
Okay.
And there are so many other people, but those are my main ones.
Well, thank you for that. I think she's also raised some names that weren't on the list. Certainly Robert Bateman is one that's very good. And Anyway, what are your comments?
Well, she mentioned the media again, and I just wanted to take issue with one name you had on your top 20.
Yes.
You mentioned John Cruikshank.
Who's the editor of the Sun.
Editor of the Vancouver Sun, and you plugged him for turning around the Sun.
I said for beginning the turnaround. I'm very cynical about
But you know
the
what?
media.
I should correct you on that, because the Vancouver Province newspaper, the paper I work for, is actually exceeding the growth of circulation than the Vancouver Sun.
Right.
And the province is actually rising quicker than the Sun. So I would actually include Michael Cook, the managing editor of the Vancouver Province,
Right.
for having more of an impact than Mr. Cruikshank.
He'll be very
I like
happy.
the
He'll be very happy you did that.
Well, I like the Sun too,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that the province is actually rising fast.
Well, I think the province is sort of the people's paper, and the Sun tends to be the one that's more business-oriented and stuff, and I've taken issue with both papers in the past, but more particularly with the Sun, believe it or not. I've had more problems with the Sun's coverage, and I think Cruikshank is heading in the right direction with it. So I just feel you have to give credit where it's due. Are we taking a break? I'm trying to get us like, okay, where am I going? George in Parksville. Okay. Hi, George.
Hello.
Go ahead, please. I was lost there, but I'm ready.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, good program. Listen to you every day.
Thank you.
Being retired and all that stuff.
Great.
A boo to the both of you for the way you treated Larry Walker.
I don't know who he is.
He's a boy right from Maple Ridge.
Isn't that nice? Oh, I heard about him on the radio. Right.
Come on.
Okay.
Okay, that's enough of that. And as far as the most important person, I picked a person that you seem to have missed, but is extremely important in BC, and that's old Joe Public.
Joe Public.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And it represents both sexes, because I have a daughter named Joanna and she's called Joe. We pick up the tab, we put up all these with all the governmental charades they play.
Right.
And once every 4 or 5 years we get to kick a little butt.
Well, thank you very much for that. He's right, of course. BC is a very activist province.
It is. It is a province where public issues and politics has always been of keen interest to people, and we're evolving into a culture now where people have much more of a say. They're in a broader sort of fashion. For example, recall.
Right.
There's an example where the views of Mr. and Mrs. Front Porch or what have you is scaring the death out of the government.
Right.
Because people suddenly have the power now to sign a petition to
And
get
in
rid
BC
of their
they'll
MLA.
use it. Yeah, and I think we saw that. We saw that with the fisheries protest. We saw that with a lot of the budget. The response to the budget in the spring was phenomenal.
Take a look at the ferry protest.
Ferry protest.
People spoke up about that. They got organized. They came down to the legislature. They protested. The government rolled back the ferry hikes increases.
And I think we also have to say that the success of this show, I believe, is because the people of BC are so engaged in their province that
Absolutely.
It showed as well. And we have to take a break. We'll be right back. We're talking about the year in review.
No interest for 48 months. Now, own a new Transport Safari or GMC pickup and pay no interest for 48 months. It's true. Dave Wheaton Pontiac and General Motors bring you 0% financing for 4 years. Plus, get 2.9% financing for 48 months on most other 97 and 98 models. No interest for 48 months. No interest for 48 months on Transport Safaris and GMC pickups. Incredible sale price and General Motors financing mean huge savings. Now at Dave Wheaton Pontiac Buick GMC Victoria.
The Make-A-Wish Foundation of Canada makes wishes come true for children with life-threatening illnesses. Tara's wish was that her dog Boomer appear in a national television commercial. Wick is a corporate parent to this and 20 other television and radio stations across Canada. We support the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Like you, we care about this community. So anyway, this is Boomer, and this is Tara, and this is a wish come true.
Hi, I'm Party from Remax in Nanaimo. I'd like to wish all my clients, friends, and family a very Merry Christmas and a safe holiday season. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm Susan McGugan of Remax of Nanaimo, wishing you a fabulous 1998.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from all your friends at Remax of Nanaimo.
All the staff of both Boston Pizza locations wish you and yours the warmest of the holiday season. They hope the new year brings you prosperity and a good appetite. Merry Christmas. Gordy Dodd and the folks at Dodd's Furniture appreciate your patronage over the past year. They trust you will have a safe holiday and a bountiful new year. Season's greetings. Luggy and the rug cleaning experts at Lug-A-Rug wish you and your family a terrific Christmas. Enjoy your time with family and friends in the season of giving. Have a happy holiday.
And coming up tomorrow, we're repeating the program on Jericho Hill School and the sexual abuse problems there. Very compelling, very important program. Friday, much more frivolous, predicting your future with an astrologer and a psychic. And the psychic does handwriting analysis, and at the end of this we'll ask you if you want to be involved, you can send in a sample. You're allowed to be frivolous once in a while, although they probably don't want to. Okay, now here it is. Okay, if you want to provide a handwriting sample and be involved for the psychic, you can write out your name and a simple short sentence, fax it to Tyabji 250-389-1226, and we'll try to get as many of them done as possible. And of course we need your name so we can tell you what he says at the end of it. And they probably don't think they're being frivolous. I shouldn't say that because astrologers and psychics take it very seriously.
Well, the guy you have on is Mac McLaughlin,
Yeah.
right, who predicted the death of Princess Diana.
Right.
So this guy is a heavyweight
He
among
is.
psychologists.
And he's a very, very credible, very even-tempered fellow, so I think it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, should be.
Okay, let's talk to our friend Arnie in Richmond. Hello, Arnie.
Hello, Happy New Year, Judy.
And to you too.
And Michael. David Stockel's got my vote for
Right.
taking the government to court on for election fraud.
Right.
And to me, that's not an easy task for anyone. And Mr. Stockel is proving that the average person can make a difference in making the government accountable.
Right.
And secondly, Guy Bertrand in Quebec for forcing the federal government to defend the invalidity of succession. And none of our Western lawyers or anybody like this has got that action going, but now we have that action proceeding, and it's going to make a big difference to the country in 1998.
Okay, well, thank you. I think I'm really pleased, especially that you brought up David Stockel's name. I debated David Stockel and also the people in the North who are on the recall campaign. I was going to put it on, and I thought, well, we still have to see what the end result is.
Right. Well, David Stockel recently suffered something of a setback in court because the judge ruled that some of the key figures in the budget scandal, such as Premier Glenn Clark and Finance Minister Andrew Petter, will not have to be called to testify,
right.
Which could have been extraordinary and explosive situation for the government if that happened. You know, the other process that's undergoing right now, there's another investigation into the budget scandal being done by George Morfitt, the Auditor General, and that could actually get to the root of the thing perhaps quicker than the Stockel case. So that's something to keep an eye on.
They may all end up on our list for next year.
They might.
Yes, that's right. Okay, let's talk to Dylan now on Cortez Island. Hi, Dylan.
Hi.
Hi.
I think President Suharto deserves some recognition for the influence that he exerted over the people of British Columbia during the APEC conference.
Okay, well, that's a very provocative comment.
Well, he obviously angered a lot of people, and,
Sure.
and his presence in BC probably was a main reason that resulted in the protest up at UBC and the pepper spraying of the protesters up there and the Prime Minister's kind of controversial response to it. So, hey, you know, he probably did have a lot of influence.
Right. Of course, that's why I put that UBC law student on there. I think we'll see more from that fellow, anyone who's got that much chutzpah, as they say. Okay, let's talk to Glenn now in Vancouver. Hello, Glenn.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
I just want to comment on your selection of Carrie Simpson.
Yes.
I realize that selections aren't endorsements, but nevertheless, I don't think at the same time, there's nothing new or novel about bigots like Ms. Simpson making names for themselves by peddling homophobia. But as an alternative on that issue, I'd like to suggest the names of people like Murray Warren and James Chamberlain from the BC Teachers Federation. As your viewers may be aware, Canada has the second highest rate of teen suicides in the world, and gay and lesbian teens commit suicides at 3 times the rate of heterosexual teenagers. And so I think it's very important for our educational system to provide a nurturing and supportive environment for gay teens. And the work that's being done in the BC Teachers Federation by this group of people is actually on the cutting edge of work that's being done anywhere in the world. And
okay. Well, thank you very much for that, Glenn. I think that I'm glad that he actually mentioned Carrie Simpson. The reason that I put her on there is everywhere she goes, she can draw 800 to 1,000 people, galvanize the media, get all kinds of things, and that means that I think she's been by far one of the most influential people.
Absolutely, and I think her influence is going to continue to grow in BC because she's sort of a new figure on the scene here in BC, relatively speaking. And as you said, you know, love her or loathe her, she is an extremely compelling person. She's very well spoken.
And that may mean that in the next year, someone like Kit Krieger, who's the new president of BCTF, may emerge as somebody who can also bring together, 1,000 people or something. But to this, right now, he has his position by virtue of his members, so it's not really a public one. Okay, now we have Win2 in Delta. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Hi, Judy.
Hi.
I'm your fan, and I've been watching your program, you and yourself and the TV for a long time.
Oh, good.
And I'm first-time caller, but I really enjoy your programs, and I like the topics you discuss in your programs and the people you bring in your programs.
Well, thank you very much.
I really like that. Another thing, I'd like to give you a compliment. You always look good on TV, and today you're looking beautiful. And I wish you all the best, and have a happy new year.
Oh, well, thank you very much, and a happy new year to you too. That's always very nice. I don't know how to take compliments like that. It's like, yes, I wore a pretty dress. What can you say? You don't have that advantage when you were guest hosting.
Wearing a pretty dress? No.
No. Okay, now we're going to take. We're going to take one more call. Who? Okay, let's very quickly hear from John in Brentwood Bay. Hi, John. Are you there? Oh, well, after all that, then we can't. Okay, so now it's the year in review. Are you going to do something in the province newspaper that's sort of a year in review?
Yes, indeed. We don't publish tomorrow.
Right.
So the next paper will be Friday, and I will have an annual kind of wrap-up of the year. And on Sunday, I'm going to do a crystal ball kind of thing and do a look ahead.
So you'll be like your own sort of psychic.
Yes, indeed. So by the Vancouver province.
Oh, stop. You already gave your editor an endorsement. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be right back after the break.
Starfrit, where new ideas are born, presents the Citrus Express. It peels the fruit, sections it perfectly, and extracts the juice of large oranges or grapefruits in a single step. Check these value-added features: a citrus corer, skid-proof rubber vase, pouring spouts, and a stainless steel blade. The Starfrit Citrus Express. There's nothing else like it. Starfrit, why settle for less?
Vancouver Island's homegrown food store.
Beef mayonnaise. Oh, I use it in salads all the time. In fact, I'm going to use some in this avocado and shrimp. I like it. It's good.
Good whole wheat shreddies, because they're so delicious. I like the regular shreddies best.
Smiles in the aisle for you. Vancouver Island's homegrown food store. Thrifty Foods.
Careful, boss. Don't let the punch knock you out. Ouch, boss. Well, some things have changed. Everybody knows that you don't have to be hammered to be driven by common sense. Well, honey, that's not a couch. That's my boyfriend. Yeah, right. If I'm too tired or have a drink, I call a relative, a friend, a cab, or I call Operation Red Nose. Okay, guys, last call before you hit the road.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, that's a new addition to the family.
Oh, just beautiful. It's got ABS brakes, easier access than ever, side door impact beams, 40 standard safety features, and it's got a 5-star rating and front-end crash test.
And right now, Windstar comes with an all-star deal with our new 98 model at only $249 a month, but only at your BC Ford and Mercury dealer and only for a limited time.
And how about that gorgeous little baby?
He likes it too.
There's been controversy around the Jericho Hill School for the Deaf in Vancouver for decades. Only recently has the government acknowledged that there should be compensation for the victims, but nobody has been charged yet for pedophilia. We did a program on Jericho Hill. It was very powerful, and we will replay it tomorrow. I still think that's one of the most important shows we've ever done because it tells us how we treat the most vulnerable people in our society. So I would urge you that even though it's a bit heavy for New Year's Day, very important show. Today we talked about the year in review. I think 1997 was a very important year. Many things that began in 97 I think will carry over to 98. Some of you mentioned the recall initiative and the court case against the government. I think that will bear fruit next year. I think we can't underestimate the importance of the ruling that came out of the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, on the Delgamuth case, which affects the Gitxsan. That will affect all British Columbians, and the treaty process. We'll have to look at that next year. There also were a lot of social issues that we'll be looking at the spring, including the education system, something we haven't had time to focus on in any detail. But I would like to wish you now the happiest of New Year's. Just remember to be safe tonight. Don't do anything too silly, and we'll see you tomorrow.